Now, the next step is going to be for us to add more information to our terrain. So, setting this aside for a moment, our terrain doesn't really have a lot of information. We have a beautiful natural formations. We have the basically just a mask field, which is at 0 right now, a trees layer, which we're already using for scattering the trees, and nothing else. And it would be nice to have some of those erosion layers being generated based on this. And there's nothing stopping us from actually applying some erosion to this. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a height field erosion, height field erode. And the idea is that we want to erode very little. This already has a really nice looking natural erosion, and we just wanted to kind of read these these shapes and generate the erosion. There are several ways for us to kind of control this, but let's keep it a bit simpler and use the height field erode to generate that process. And the first thing I'm gonna adjust right away, even before connecting this, is I don't want the freeze frame to go all the way up to 20. I don't want this to go all the way up to 20. I'm guessing 8 frames is probably the best. It's probably enough. Let's connect this so it goes all the way to there. And looking at these values, the erodibility, this is probably something that we will want to reduce right from the start. Okay, so the erosion rate is at 0.4 and 0.003. We can probably bring this a lot lower and see how this works. Also, these spread iterations, this will tend to be a lot. So we want to keep this kind of almost intact. So it's probably gonna be a good idea to also bring this down. Let's keep this at 16. I'm gonna put this at 0.1 and this at 0.01. But actually, I'm gonna control press with the middle mouse button to go back to the original values. And just so you can see how much this is gonna erode, let's keep this at 20 as well, just so you can have a look at how much this is gonna affect our shape. Takes a moment. Remember, we're still working at pretty low resolution. We have a height field grid of 4 meters. But if I disable the visualization, you'll notice that we lost some of the shapes that we had before. So this is before, and this is the after the erosion. So it's not terrible. We've got pretty much the main shapes, but we still lose a bit of the intrinsic details. Okay, it's a bit too much. Now, if we bring this freeze frame back to 8, this helps to some extent, but I think we can keep more of the detail if we just do those adjustments I was doing. So we don't want the water channels to actually spread as much. These water channels spreading, and that'll definitely, some of these adjustments should help. I'm gonna put this at, I'm gonna disable this. It's gonna go back to 0. Let's disable the visualize. And here, going to the main, I want to go here to the erosion rate and bring this 0.1, bring this to 0.01, and here the spread iterations to 16. This alone should help a lot. We can also kind of increase the cut angle so it stops sooner. And what else? Let me see. Maybe here on the advanced, we could add a bit more water to have more of those channels rolling down the terrain. So maybe increasing this a bit more. And you should try. You should spend some time playing with this and see how it works with the adjustments that you make. But let's see, maximum debris depth, maybe bringing this down as well. Here I'm not as concerned, and maybe not evaporate as fast, so we can accumulate a bit more water information. And yeah, let's just go with this and let's apply it. And as you can see, we've kept pretty much what we had. Okay, there's nothing much going on, but if we turn on the visualize, we have those channels coming downhill, but we kept most of the original shapes. Okay, so that was the intention with those adjustments, was to make sure that we could keep most of the information, because we already have some really nice looking shapes here. So this is I think this is really good. We could always, of course, kind of erode it a bit more and be have a bit more freedom with the erode, and then just copy the layers to the original one. But I think this makes more sense and it's going to be more consistent. But that would be another option. Now, having applied the erode, I also want to calculate the flow field, which is now a separate thing. So height field, flow field. Let's go there. Let's let it calculate. Here we can use the defaults. It doesn't change anything in our shape. Let's clear the mask. Mask clear. Okay, and we shouldn't see a difference from this and this. We're only adding information layers. Okay, so here on the height field, we now have a lot of informations, and we have the flow and the flow reducer. Okay, before we didn't have that flow information, but now we do. Those layers are being generated here. Okay, so this is what's coming out. Now we have all the information that we need. So if we decide that we want to convert this to either to a terrain to use on Unreal or something like that, or just generate a back geometry, back game asset made up of just geometry and some maps, we can do that as well. Now let's just arrange things. On this side, we're going to be exporting the height field. So let's create a null here and say out height field, and let's create here on this side. We don't need the terrain here, so we can go to the scatter options and say that we want to not keep we don't want to keep the incoming terrain. And here we can create another null, and this is going to be the out trees. We can then decide if we want to actually connect something here or just export the points. Okay, we might not want to connect anything and just get the points. But just so it's easier for us to visualize, I'm going to keep this here. And here's our system. And we're ready to pack this up into an HDA. We'll do that on the next lesson.